The Pro Show is brought to you by Rockin' Media and our proprietary Flash HDR photo process, providing you with the best, most realistic photos of your property. See the difference at rockinmedia.com. Hi, and welcome to the Pro Show. I'm Rick Machle. On this show, we're going to be talking about Central Denver and all the great neighborhoods and where to look if you have specific ideas for properties. In addition to that, we're going to be talking with Shannon about her ideas for how to stage a dining area and a breakfast bar. Last week, we talked with Dawn about the same things, but everybody has a little bit different ideas. Greg will be talking about what to look for in a rental investment property, and Nancy will be giving advice on how to find a home if you're a first-time home buyer. That's all next on The Pro Show. Joining me today is Shannon Pace from Coldwell Banker in the Southeast Metro Denver office, and she's awesome. I've known her for about 10 years. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, Rick. Great to see you.
You too. So I'm guessing you weren't always in real estate. I think, had you started right when I first met you about 10 years ago?
Yes, actually, you were my very first listing that we went to together. And I started 10 years ago. Prior to that, I was lucky enough to stay home with my kids until they went to kindergarten. And after that blessing, I went into the oil and gas industry and worked as a technical writer and a project manager, which sounds about as boring as it was.
Yeah.
People were great that I worked with, but honestly, they do layoffs quite a bit in that industry. And I was part of the layoffs, and it actually gave me some time to consider what I wanted to do. And the Today Show actually had a segment that they were showing women that were changing their careers when they were, a little bit older. And so I watched that and I thought, oh my gosh, and a real estate agent came on and I was like, I've always been interested in real estate. And here's my opportunity to get into something that I would enjoy.
And now you have a whole team, right?
Yeah, I'm so fortunate. I have a team, Your Fresh Start group of 5 lovely ladies. We work together very well, and we all have our different expertise. So when you get one of us, you get us all. It's great.
So are you from Colorado, or where'd you grow up?
Yeah, actually, I'm a native. So I think you and I both are natives, right?
Close. My wife's a native, but I came when I was 2, so it doesn't quite.
Okay, we'll count you, Rick.
Okay, you're the first one. Most natives say, no, I'm sorry, you weren't born here.
Well, I'll go ahead and count you.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Denver and in Littleton, and went to school up in northern Colorado. So I've been fortunate to live in many of the areas of town, and as you mentioned, that I worked quite a bit in the Denver metro area. So it's been lovely.
Well, it's great. I'm glad to have you on the program today, and let's get started. We have our year-over-year stats for December, so I thought we'd go through these a little quickly and see what happened. The active listings are only up slightly year-over-year to about 10,000. They were about 9,834, and now they're 9,989 as of the end of the year. The under contracts are up 9.5% to 3,129 from 2,858 in 2023, and that's really good news. The new listings are also up 9% to 2,489 from 2,283. The sold listings are up 14% from the year over year at 3,892. And the days on market are up 18% from 50 last year in 2023 to 59 in December 2024. And I believe that is the days on market that the sold listings had. The median sales price, we're up 5.5% from 570,000 from 540,500. And the average sales price is up 2.9% to $666,813 from $648,052. So Shannon, what numbers jump out at you on this?
I think it's important to see that we still had growth. There are, a lot of outlets right now that are making real estate sound pretty scary, but 2.9% is a healthy growth. That's what we could do actually every year from now to eternity, and not be in an inflation, like have an inflation problem.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're it looks pretty promising that we're actually seeing our sales growth are up a little bit year over year, and I liken it to 20 and 21 and part of 22 were like driving down the freeway at 85 miles an hour, and then you get off on a side street and you're going 20 miles an hour, and you're like, why am I crawling? Well, if you were always going 20 miles an hour, you go, yeah, this is normal. We just went from such a hyper market there for 2 or 3 years that it makes it seem like it's a lot slower right now. Would you agree?
Absolutely. So the University of Colorado just published their economic study, and they said that for 2024, the very fourth quarter, that was the beginning of our change in real estate to starting to see growth, which is very positive. This is for Colorado.
Yeah. Well, and if you were getting 0.5% a month returns on your stocks, you'd be pretty happy at this point. So, or at least on bonds. So having that, if you're basically gaining 5.5 to 6% in average value, that's pretty good year over year, especially. So, real estate, it's always seems to be the place to go, and we always have these little dips, but they tend to come back just because people need places to live.
Yes, and Colorado doesn't have quite the swing sort of issues that some of the states have. So we're very fortunate here that we aren't as impacted as some areas of the country.
Yeah, we're doing quite well, and it always helps that we're a great place to live.
Oh, so lovely, and so much to do. And we find people moving in from all over the country. And I think one of the things that is a hidden gem about us is they think, oh, your winters, but our winters really are not that bad. But if you put this out to the world, you don't all need to move here.
Well, and as bad as we feel for all the people in California, we went through it with the Machle fire a few years ago. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of them heading our way.
Yes.
It just tends to be a place that Californians tend to come, and we'll welcome some of them, not all of them, but some of them.
Yes, absolutely. They were talking about how the Palisades was mainly family oriented, and with how long, as we saw with the Machle fire, it takes to build a home, they're going to need to relocate for their children. So Colorado would be a natural fit for people that unfortunately have lost so much in California, and our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Exactly. And unfortunately for those people, we don't have an ocean. The people who live...
Not even much of lakes.
Yeah, and they go, Cherry Creek, it's nice, but no, not so much. So, exactly. So if you're into ocean, Colorado isn't the place. If you're into almost every other activity, we're a great place to come. And of course, best skiing in the country, probably close to the world. Maybe Switzerland has a little bit better, but it's a great place to live. And every week we have Nancy Alexander from Smart Mortgage Services here to help us get a little bit smarter about mortgages. And last week we talked about first-time home buyers and a special program for them. And we're going to continue that discussion. So Nancy, welcome, as always.
Thanks, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. And you?
Good. Stay warm.
So we kind of jumped ahead because we talked about a program last week that helps you with down payment assistance, but we didn't really talk about who say Fannie and Freddie consider to be a first-time home buyer. You think in the name it makes sense, but it isn't necessarily true, right?
It isn't, because a first-time home buyer, like you and I have discussed, is anybody that hasn't had a mortgage for the last 3 years.
Okay.
So if you've been off that mortgage paper, you sold your house, you decided to move to San Francisco and you rented for 2 or 3 years before you decided where it was you were going to buy, that all of a sudden deems you as being a first-time home buyer. And really, Rick, the first-time home buyer is saying, do you fit the criteria of Fannie and Freddie because it's income driven,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? So it is 3% down where FHA is 3.5% down, but at the 3% down, you've got to meet those income requirements. And Fannie has, I think, Home Possible, Freddie Home Ready, or it's the other way around, but they each have their own first-time homebuyer program if, in fact, your income, again, meets those guidelines.
And that's county dependent, correct?
It is county dependent because it deals on what they call AMI, which is area median income.
Okay. So we're in Colorado, but on average, let's just say at Denver, what are they saying for today?
About 74,000 and change.
Household income.
Household income, exactly. That is household income. So if there's two of you, right, and I mean, 74,000 is pretty skinny.
Yeah.
And in today's market, and so it doesn't meet a lot of people's criteria.
Yeah. Are you still finding that people can afford or qualify for a home that if they have a 75,000 household income? Are there homes available? I guess there's townhomes.
There are homes available, no
Okay.
question. It's really for anybody, whether we're talking first-time home buyer or multiple-time home buyer, your debt is going to eat up your income.
Sure.
I mean, it's, remember Pac-Man, I always think of that, and that's the debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, if somebody has 75,000 in income but has no debt, I can easily qualify them for that 400,000, maybe even $500,000 property, where somebody that makes double the income but has a $600 car payment and 4 or 5 student loans and maybe 3 or 4 credit cards, I can't get them up to that $500,000 mark.
Do you encourage people when they're, trying to get a first-time loan to have some credit history? Does that matter?
Absolutely. You have to have credit history. You've got to be able to come up with at least 2 scores. Most of the loan products want 3 scores. So if you don't have debt, and the whole purpose of having debt is to show that you can pay it on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Right? You can get it, you can pay it, and you can pay it off. And so you absolutely have to have the credit scores irrespective of the loan program you're trying for.
Okay. And the ones where you're putting obviously 3, 4, 5% down, you have an issue with mortgage insurance premium, which you think, oh, it's paying my mortgage if I lose my job. It isn't really that, is it?
No, it isn't. And that's another great statement, because mortgage insurance is insurance. It's the one insurance that doesn't benefit you or I.
Okay.
It benefits the lender. Right?
Okay.
If we default on the loan, the lender then reaches into the pool of that mortgage insurance to remarket that house and get it back out on the market and get it sold, because they're not in the business of holding my and your real estate when we defaulted. So that's the whole key to mortgage insurance.
Well, next week we should talk about how mortgage insurance works and how you can get rid of that. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Sounds lovely.
Well, great. If you want to talk to Nancy and get more information as a first-time home buyer, or even if you're not a first-time home buyer, please reach out to her at the number on the screen, and I'm sure she'd love to talk to you. And as always, thanks for joining me on The Pro Show.
Thanks, Rick.
Last week, we talked about the places to live in Southwest foothills, south of Evergreen and north of Bailey. This week, we want to kind of pop into the Denver Central area, and this is from I-70 South. We're going to concentrate on this central area, and this includes east of I-25 and west of Colorado Boulevard. So Shannon, who's sold a lot of homes in this area, is going to walk us through what you can expect from housing types. And let's start with River North Arts District, also known as Rhino.
So Rhino's a great area. It is something that was has changed quite a bit over the years. It had attracted local artists and also quite a bit of restaurant entrepreneurs. So you can see this this vibrant area that has an eclectic sort of homes, just because there were a lot more teardowns, as we call them, where you're able to put new homes on existing properties. They're allowed to do that. There's also a variety of price points for Rhino. It is in that I-70 corridor, so I have heard from some people that the traffic can be a little bit more congested. So if you have the availability to work from home or to commute at different times of the day, Rhino is a great area for that.
And a little bit south of there is LoDo, and that's a lot of condos, isn't it?
Lots of condos. And I'm sure that the consumer has noticed that the HOAs in condos have changed quite a bit. We attribute this to what happened in Miami. So insurance across the board has gone up for these condo communities. Because of that, you'll see a lot more non-warrantable condos, which I'm sure we'll talk about in another segment. But non-warrantable just basically means that it has to be financing that's not through traditional financing. And these, but still just a great walkable area where you can get around Denver. You can have basically your whole pocket of everything that you do that's walkable. And there are some beautiful buildings, and they are everything from, just a couple stories with great, what we call units in there, to huge towers, like the Spire, and we have the Colorado Inn. The price points are all across the board. You can go from 200,000 to 8 million. So there is a lot of different options for those of you that are looking to have more of a city type of lifestyle.
I'll go for two $8 million homes, please.
I will show them.
And obviously you have the Lake Street Bombers in that area as well.
Yeah.
So you can walk to Coors Field if you're into baseball.
Yep.
And
then
baseball,
they'll crush your heart usually once a year, but it is a lot of fun to go to a game still.
Exactly. And kind of to the northeast of there is the 5 Points area. Tell me about that. This is a great historic area.
Oh, it's such a cool area. So it has changed very much so over the last 20 years. And the homes that you see have these beautiful architecture to them. You have Queen Anne homes, you have Tudors, you have great, fantastic restaurants that have been nationally acclaimed that have moved into the area. And it just really has taken on quite a change. So 5 Points used to be somewhere that people was not as desirable. And now it's somewhere that we see a lot of people want to move into.
And if we head a little bit east on MLK, we've got another great area, including City Park, right?
Yeah, City Park areas. So that is also great. You're getting a little bit closer to our Cherry Creek neighborhood over there, but you still have more affordability. So as you get closer to Cherry Creek, the affordability changes. So City Park, you can still go out there and be able to find something affordable while also being able to enjoy all of the ambiances of living citywide. And you have to check out our Denver Zoo. Our Denver Zoo is a phenomenal rated zoo. They do different upgrades to it every year with places that my children have really enjoyed throughout the years. They have a great, very affordable year pass that you can go to. There's the National History Museum that has exhibits that come through every year that are fantastic. My favorite was the jewelry exhibit that came through a couple of years ago. It was so much fun to see Cartier.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot that it just has so many things to do.
And tell me about North Capitol Hill.
So North Capitol Hill is going to be, you're still going to have a lot more condos and townhomes in this area, or you also have a lot of duplexes, which will have things such as a shared wall with a party wall agreement that we can go over in another segment, but it's also has more affordability in that Capitol Hill area. It was called Capitol Hill because that's near the governor's mansion and is very walkable, great area.
Yeah, but as you can see, there's still some affordable prices here for condos. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, $963 for $425. And here's another one for $425, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,100 or 1,200 square feet. So there's some affordability in downtown, and I think it's probably a great place to start looking, because there were a lot of people during COVID who moved out to the suburbs, and so I think there's a lot more inventory than there might have been a few years ago, and making it more affordable too. And that leads us south to Capitol Hill.
And one thing too that we're seeing in like Capitol Hill and in these different areas too, while we believe there's a little bit more affordability on market for inventory, is that with the HOAs going up, the investors are not going in there to buy them for rentals. So what's nice is they're going to be primary occupied. So you'll actually have homeowners living in these buildings now that it hasn't become more of an investor type situation.
So less competition with those investors on price, which is good for buyers.
Right. We've been able to also negotiate quite a bit on interest rate. So when you hear 7.5 or whatever the going date, because it changes daily, whatever that interest rate is, because there's more inventory, we've been able to negotiate to get what's called seller concessions, where we get a credit to help buy down that interest rate to make it quite a bit more affordable. This will very much help in the condo community, because you can end up getting a much better monthly mortgage rate, which then allows you to be able to get into that condo that you really want.
And tell me about this Auraria area.
Oh, Auraria is great. So it's over near, there are several different universities there. So University of Colorado, Denver, you've got Metro. So you're going to see a lot of young people walking around. It has a lot of condos as well, a little bit affordability, and then you're close to what we call the Pepsi Center. There is a ton to do around there, and really great access also to some parks like Chaffee Park. You can be in the city but still enjoy the outdoors in this Auraria community. It was really planned for that student type of experience, where I have found a lot of retirees have also enjoyed this because they have access to taking classes there, and it's just a lovely community.
And I think south of Colfax, or is it south of 6th Avenue, you get into the Baker District.
Baker. So the Baker District is where you're going to find single family homes that you can get into at more of an affordable price. And they have a similar look to them, but you will still find nuances from what people have done, because this is an older neighborhood as well. So there are a lot of properties that were owned original homeowners that have since sold them and have been remodeled and have some really fantastic finishes for an affordable price.
Yeah, it's my sister-in-law lives in this area and has lived there almost 30 years and loves it. It's another one of those districts that's changed quite a bit over the years, but the historic homes are amazing in this place, and a lot of them have been fully renovated as well, and so that makes it really cool to move into a home that was built over 100 years ago, but still makes it feel like they're brand new as you walk in.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of room for fixer-uppers too in that area. And as we continue south, we head to the Daly Park and Bayou and down in that area. I'm not sure what this neighborhood's called down here. Is this kind of Wash Park, or Wash Park's a little further, isn't it?
Wash Park is just a little bit further. This is kind of that in between, closer to Virginia Vale.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of mid-century moderns near there. There's a pocket neighborhood. So if you're looking for a mid-mod, as you can see, there's a little bit of inventory, but mid-mods go in any market very well. And Rick, you just demonstrated it perfectly. There's not as much as you saw in the other neighborhoods. And that's because it's still very popular for people to want that type of property. They sell very well.
And I'm guessing as we head a little bit east towards Wash Park, the prices tend to go higher.
They're going to go up. Those prices are going up.
Yeah, like this 2.3 million house right on Downing Street, which is right across from the park, and it's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, a 3,700 square foot home. But hey, if you want to, this is, I guess, Smith Lake on Wash Park. So, but you also have condos, right, on this north side?
Yeah, on the north side, there are condos. They're also going to be a little bit more in price point than if you go to another neighborhood. Wash Park has just been known since the beginning of Denver neighborhoods as being an exclusive neighborhood. It does have, as it looks, a lovely park that you can find people running, walking, plenty of pets, so lots of dog walks, lots of little events that you'll see there. It also has a beautiful area for shopping, dining, and it's an area that people do tend to get to know their neighbors. Like your sister-in-law, this is also a neighborhood that people tend to move and stay.
Mm-hmm. They just love it. Tell me about Belcaro.
So Belcaro is lovely. We're going to be more in the luxury community in Belcaro. So it is just a great feel. Your price point is over $1 million typically to several million. There are some of these teardowns where they've put up farmhouse styles, but then you'll also see these beautiful historic homes that are there as well. Their lot size is larger than what you would see in Wash Park. So you're going to have more of a lot to enjoy. And then you're going to, there are some properties that even have pools. You name it, you can find it in Belcaro as long as you can pay for it.
And I thought I saw on here, and of course we're looking at Zillow, there's one in Polo Club that is only 7.9 million.
Lovely. Yep. I've sold a couple in there. It's absolutely lovely gated community. Yep, the price point is definitely something that holds its value and increases. The people that live in Belcaro are definitely, if you got in 20 years ago, you are sitting on quite a bit of equity. So we are seeing a little bit of a changeover in that neighborhood just because so many people have owned it for quite some time and are thinking about downsizing. So those homes are quite large in the Belcaro with lots of square footage.
And then it comes to Cherry Creek, which is, the let's just say the place, a great place, obviously great shopping, but you're going to be paying a little bit more here as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough great things about Cherry Creek. I think there's a reason that it is such an exclusive community that has just the streets of the north streets of Cherry Creek are absolutely so much fun. There's festivals, there's great art festivals that come through here. The Cherry Creek is definitely divided. It is a larger area than I think most people know. You have your Cherry Creek North, you have the ones that are closer to the mall, you have Cherry Creek that's closer as you move to the east. And there are still condos. They're more luxury condos when you're looking in that area. As you go further east, when you go back towards City Park, that's where you find a little bit more affordability. But living in Cherry Creek, I think that the goal is to be able to walk to everything and to be able to enjoy the aspects of Cherry Creek.
And I've photographed everything from condos, townhomes, duplexes, single families. So there's a lot of a variety of properties in Cherry Creek too. Most people think they're just very expensive single family homes, which isn't necessarily the case.
That's a great point. I would say Belcaro is mainly single family homes, whereas Cherry Creek, you're going to have everything. And there are some affordable places in Cherry Creek, but they are definitely, their price per square foot, if you're comparing it across the board, is always going to be higher.
And then north of Cherry Creek and south of the city park is the Congress Park area. And that's pretty cool.
Congress Park.
Yeah.
That's great. It's a really lovely area.
Yeah, it's got a lot of nice single family homes, right?
Yes, lots of nice single family homes. You're going to see a lot of traditional style homes there as well. Congress Park has not had the ability to do as much changes to it as some areas. So I love that you're going to see some of the older Tudors. You're going to see just a great glimpse of Denver. I think that's a great community to drive through, and you can see how Denver has, the architecture of Denver.
And I'm guessing we'll probably end up here in Country Club area. That's kind of speaks for itself as far as pricing, correct?
Right, Denver Country Club. So the only area that's maybe comparable to in Denver to Cherry Creek. So Country Club has, but it also has some smaller homes that are bordering it and duplexes that are lovely. The Country Club, Denver Country Club, is private, so you do have to be able to join that section to utilize the amenities. But very gorgeous homes that are throughout there, and I would say a really nice community. There's wine clubs. The neighbors do a lot to try to create a neighborhood style in this area as well. And we do see a lot of people that are actually, we had seen a lot of people that were moving. I don't see very much inventory right now. It looks like it's cleared out.
Yeah, we're down to 2. Well, we're
down to 2 now.
You can choose between these 2. You have lots of choice.
Yeah, you're welcome. And one of the reasons why, Rick, is this community has a lot of pocket listings. So it's important to talk to an agent that knows the community very well and knows the other agents, because a lot of these do not sell on the MLS. They sell from agent to agent or from homeowner to home buyer without ever hitting the MLS.
So if money were no object, where would you move to?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm entering a different part of my life now. So my daughter is a senior and my son goes to college, and I've got an awesome husband. And I think if money was no object, we would move to Cherry Creek.
Okay. Cherry Creek. And if money is an object and you want to stay kind of in the more affordable area, what parts of downtown would you recommend looking at?
Okay, so I do love Bonnie Bray, which isn't as affordable.
Yeah.
That is a great area. There's some small, really micro homes that I could get into there but as far as affordability, I would say Platt Park is really lovely. I would probably go closer over to Platt Park, or West Wash Park is kind of a little bit of a hidden gem. It's a little bit outside of Wash Park, but there are tons of inventory right now. And I think that there are options for buyers to get properties that they wouldn't normally get at great prices.
And we didn't really talk about it, but you mentioned Bonnie Bray. That's kind of on the south part of University, Arizona, kind of in that area, correct? I'm trying to remember where it is.
I've sold many homes over there. That's over by University or Broadway in Mississippi, over there.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, right. In this area. Yep. In this.
Right over there. And it's right next to Corey Merrill. This, as you see, there's not a lot of wide range of inventory. There just really hardly ever is. But I love Bonnie Bray because the streets are so lovely with their yards. I like that you don't really see tear downs in this community because it's just not allowed. So I think that I think Denver architecture needs to be protected, and I'm glad that this area has stayed that way.
It's really a great part of Denver as well. So I'm glad you brought it up because I skipped right over it. And
I've sold several houses there, and it's just so easy to get in and out of. You can go it's a great place to live, and it's easy to get to the mountains.
obviously Shannon knows the whole area. So if you have further questions, obviously reach out to her because she will be willing to take you around and show you all the different properties that are for sale now, or if you're looking to sell. Also a great place, a great person to talk to relative to listing your home. So give Shannon a call on that. And thanks for taking us on this little tour, Shannon. Shannon and I were talking about the how Dawn likes to stage kitchens or dining rooms and breakfast bars. I thought I'd get Shannon's opinion on how she would stage them and what you believe is the best way to stage a dining room. Let's start with that. What are the keys?
A dining room? Yes, so I very much believe in staging. I think that it is a difference maker in selling a home. We have stats that show that it sells faster and for top dollar. So in a dining room, you need to have a dining room set that fits the area. So oftentimes when we're in condos in Denver or we're in these homes that have smaller footprints, we need to show that you could do a round table or something along that line. The chairs may need to be a little bit smaller so that they're not taking up so much room, because these are typically spaces that are a little bit smaller than what you would see maybe in the suburbs community. If it is a large luxury home, we want to really utilize that space. So when we were staging a Cherry Creek home, we wanted to bring in a very large table so that they could see that they could entertain with it, this great space. Also to see that it's not a waste of space. Sometimes you can get into a room that's so large that buyers have a hard time imagining what to do in there.
So the furniture sometimes doesn't match how people are living versus how you want to sell it. What do you recommend if that's the case? Say, I have a big family, I don't have a huge place, so I have a huge table. Do you recommend changing out the table? Do you handle that? How does that work?
Right. So if it is, if they already have a large table in their place and we're coming in to sell it, we usually ask them, are you planning on moving this to your next property? And if they are, do you have the ability to store it somewhere? Because if it is too large, it is best to get it out of the space and have something brought in. And then we come up with creative solutions if they don't have a place to store it. We have had some pushback. It is hard. None of us live staged. None, including me. Clearly, you guys can see from my office.
Exactly.
A Christmas tree, for goodness sakes. What the heck?
Nobody lives in a staged home.
No, nobody lives that way.
Well, we're still in January, so we're okay. You can have the little Christmas tree.
It'll go down after this. It's not missed.
Yeah.
But I do think that's a really important part, is having a professional stager. So I use a professional stager that comes in, and that helps with also, I think, having myself in there with the experience of selling so many homes, and my stager who has the experience from her design perspective come in and really give somebody an idea of what we need to do to make their home look amazing online, and then have the photography of rockin' medias, because 99% of all home buyers find their property online.
What are the other 1% doing? They're just tripping over them?
I think those are the darn people that are doing pocket listings.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So basically
their neighbor's house.
Basically 100%. Or they just happened to be driving by and saw Shannon's open house and decided to come in and bought it. So, but they hadn't been looking. It was an impulse buy. And
and it does happen, but I think that's a 1%er.
Okay. And what about lighting in a dining room?
Oh, that's a great question. That's so important. So I think a lot of times when we're moving, we haven't updated our lighting, or we never updated the lighting. It was something we planned on doing. My husband and I are guilty of that right now. When we're in a dining room, and I was like, that's the first thing that's going when we move in. And we've been here for 4 years and it's still there. So if I was to sell my own house, I would switch out the lighting. Great news is with Amazon and with so many different light vendors right now, you can get really great lighting that looks lovely for very affordable prices. And we do it all the time. In fact, we're staging a property in Arvada. We're going through, and that is one of the items list. And we don't just say switch the lighting. We actually give you the link to the lighting that we've picked out for you. We have the electrician if you'd want to use that electrician. We are 100% hands-on in the process, because it is daunting if you're doing changes to the property, and we just want to make sure we're there for our sellers.
What about removing knickknacks and things like that on hutches and credenzas and things like that?
We call it pre-packing.
Oh, I like that.
Yes, pre-packing. And, I mean, I have them too. So we all have our things that may not attract the buyer. It is best to depersonalize the home as much as possible. And we may even be a little annoying, because we may take away a couple of knickknacks and then bring in a knickknack. But it's really because maybe that knickknack you had is very small and won't show up very well on the camera, or too large, and that's the only thing you see. So we bring in items sometimes, but we always say, hey, let's pre-pack. And my sellers have come back to me and said, you know what, Shannon, that was smart, because it's a lot easier to move when I've already pre-packed a lot of items. So I think in the long run, it really does save you on that time when it's time to actually move.
And people tend to have shortcuts to try and remember different homes, and you don't want to be the rooster cookie.
Right. Or the monkey.
Or the monkey cookie thing that's on the credenza. That, it's just,
We've seen some things.
the cookie jar that has a monkey on it or a rooster, and that's the one thing they remember. And, and of course, they may never, you love it, but they may not like it. And so that's part of depersonalizing. Yeah. Are you a bake your cookies kind of person before showings?
For showing. So I do think smell is important. We actually have a spray we recommend. It's Diva. Okay. Shot. It's a Diva spray.
Exactly.
And we actually get that for you and have you use it in your home. Or I say everything is better fresh. So not that. Yeah, I know a lot of people that use Glade or whatever. We don't recommend anything too strong of a scent, because their first instinct as buyers and even as agents is to say, what are they covering up?
Exactly.
So, it's better to have something more natural. So it's anything that we recommend is going to have a natural feel. I do sometimes do cookies before an open house, just to have that fresh baked smell, but don't worry, sellers, I'm not going to have you bacon.
Well, and you have to be careful, because if you get busy and you burn them, now you have burned cookies. Yeah. So you have to be.
Nobody wants burned cookies.
Exactly. So we did lighting, we did the layout, we did smell. How about windows? Are you a big window washer kind of person, or it depends?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. That is so important. So even if you don't have views, you need to have those windows washed. I've got a great professional cleaner that I recommend, or if it's doable and manageable, we can, the sellers can do that, or we can have a cleaning crew come out. It makes all the difference in the world in photographs. And I think one thing that we also a lot of times recommend is taking screens out and then putting them into another portion. Or putting them back in that inspection, depending on what type of property it is. But that's some of those hidden things. A lot of times personal draperies will ask to come down too, especially if you plan on keeping them. There have been more fights about window coverings than there are about pricing. So as far as buyer to seller, so we just want to make sure that everything's very clear on that, and it can also help sell your home. Natural light is probably the top three consistently that I hear from buyers on what they're looking for in their next home.
And people don't normally think about the screens, but that's so important not only for blocking views in person, but it really does impact our photos because we get reflections off those screens. So if you've got a great view of, say, Wash Park or the foothills from that 19th floor condo, and you've got all these screens on, they're not going to be as clear. So that's a great move. Don't climb out on the edge of the ledge on the 19th floor, though. That wouldn't be good, so to remove them. It's not that important.
We can have people help.
Exactly.
Yes, I think that's our main goal is to make this a smooth process and to get whoever needs for help to come out. It makes it a lot better. And like you said, the photos just pop when there's the clear windows like that.
Any other tips for dining or, say, breakfast bars? Do you actually put plates out or not?
Oh, we have. I don't think we do them as much anymore.
Okay.
If it's a really cute breakfast area, we'll stage it with bar stools sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an eat-in one, and then we will use plates and things such as that. But yeah, that trend right now, the trend for design per my stagers are that it's minimalist.
Okay.
So we aren't doing as much that you used to see or that you might see in a magazine. I think even the magazines, if you were to look at, you would notice that there's not as much accessories as we used to see.
So keep it simple. Silly.
Keep it simple.
We'll call
But we do put
not
a
stupid,
couple things.
silly.
Yes, simple. We do put a couple things on there just to remind buyers what it's used for. So you'll see, we'll have on a breakfast bar, you might even see some fake fruit on there with a bowl. It's usually white with green apples or something, or yellow lemons, something that doesn't detract but gives a nice pop of color.
Any other tips?
Just I think be open to the process. I know it can be hard to hear that you're taking down photos. It can feel like you're living in a very different space and uncomfortable, but I promise you that this is all done for the end result of selling your home, and that it goes such a long way, and we wouldn't have you do it unless we've had proven results.
Yeah, and the downside to staging some homes is people re-fall in love with their home.
Yes. Yes, I have had that.
Never mind, I'm good.
Yeah, we actually had that, I think, just last year.
Yeah, exactly, where they decide to stay because they realize, oh, this home was fine. We just cluttered
we really
it up.
like this home. The space looks much better this way.
So you can hire Shannon and her stager to come in and stage your existing home as an ancillary service.
A lot of times I will have my stager come in afterwards, and that's one of the perks to working with us is that she will come in and help you with paint color selection or with furniture selection, things such as that. So it's hard to pick things out. If you don't have an eye for it, it feels not fun.
No, and going to American Furniture Warehouse is not necessarily the answer.
No, there's so many other options nowadays. So it's amazing what you can get and what looks beautiful, and you don't have to break the bank to have a fabulously staged or live-in room.
Yeah, and American has a lot of great stuff. It's just hard to picture because they have so much stuff. Which is best for your house, and that's where having the help of a stager would help as well. And most people don't think of the stager after they move in, so that's great you offer that.
It's been great, yeah. It's been very successful. My clients love when they can utilize that part of our services.
And now's the time we get to find out more about Shannon, and we're going to do this by a section called 10 favorites, and this is where we find out what her favorite things are. And we're going to start with your favorite food.
So that's easy. You could ask my family. It's definitely pizza.
Pizza every time of the day or just at dinner?
Any time of day. I've even been known to have a slice of pizza on my way out the door in the morning.
And does it have to be cold, or can you heat it?
I prefer cold if it's in the morning.
Okay.
So any time it needs to be warm in my air fryer.
Okay, well, that's cool. And what about your favorite pastime?
Favorite pastime? I wish I had more time for it. It would be skiing, but I have made an effort to do more yoga. So I would say they're probably tied, but I get more time for yoga.
All right. And favorite type of music and or band? They could be different.
Okay. I tend to listen to more country, but I have to say I'm a Swiftie, so I didn't get to go to the concert. My daughter, I was able to get her a ticket, so I lived vicariously through her, but I just think she's a great role model for ladies, and I love her music.
Yeah, she's awesome. And what about favorite place to visit in Colorado?
Oh gosh, there's so many amazing places. I very much enjoy going to Beaver Creek, and we're lucky enough to go for our global luxury conference almost every year. So, Beaver Creek.
So you're a mountain person. Get up in the hills.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. How about
I wish I got to spend a little bit more time there.
Exactly. How about place to visit in the world?
Oh, we went to Thailand for my honeymoon, and that is, I just can't say enough things about Thailand. I guess the word to sum it up is magical.
Okay.
It truly is a magical place to go.
Well, that's great. How about favorite restaurant? Let's split this in two. One is local, and if you've got one outside of Colorado, that'd be good too. We want to give people some advice.
Okay. So when I went to the Global Luxury Conference in Miami, I was recommended by the Jill's team to go to Carbone's, which is an amazing Italian restaurant. So that was so much fun. And there's a lot of great people watching. So Carbone's was amazing. And then my favorite restaurant in Colorado, oh gosh.
You can't say Domino's.
No. Well, I do love Ocean Prime. I know it's a chain, but so if I pick something that's family owned, I would say Shanahan's is just fantastic, or Steakhouse 10. I mean, you can tell I like steak a little bit.
Okay, so, yeah. So steak and pizza. Yeah. And
steak and pizza. I'm doing well.
Little steak on your pizza.
Like yoga.
Exactly. What's your favorite time of the year?
Oh, I love Christmas time of the year, just that when everything is up and everybody's kind of in a better mood. I just think it's such a fun time, and I probably like it a lot better now that my kids are older.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Exactly. And what about your favorite smell?
Peonies, flowers. I love the smell of peonies. They're amazing. We grow them locally in Colorado and Grand Junction. So one time a year you can get them. I think it's right around Mother's Day.
I'll have to try them. I'm not sure I'm familiar with it.
They're gorgeous.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
Probably the first time I went to Disneyland. I was selected because they were doing an anniversary, and they gave me this. It was a big deal, like bells went off, and they gave me a hat and a sticker, and it was very cool. And that was just a very cool memory that I'll always have. And of course, who isn't just blown away by Disney the first time they see it?
Of course. It's a great childhood memory for most of us.
Yeah.
And what's the favorite part of what you do?
I would say building relationships with people. I'm lucky that after they sell their home or buy their home, I'm still very much a part of their lives. So we have client events throughout the years where I get to see them, and getting to see, everybody in their different stages has been a true blessing. This career has been life-changing for me and allowed me to go from a single mother who was struggling to buy groceries to a successful person who remarried and has a beautiful home and able to pay for her kids going to college. So it has been truly life-changing, and I am grateful for each and every one of my clients that made it possible.
Well, that's really awesome. Now you know everything there is to know about Shannon, or at least everything we're going to let her tell you about herself. Joining us each week is Greg Bacheller from Real Property Management. Hi, Greg.
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining me. So today, let's talk hotspots. If I'm looking to buy or get a rental that is going to give me pretty good occupancy, where should I be looking?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we'll break the Front Range down into three segments. So let's start in northern Colorado, and then we'll work our way down. So in northern Colorado, as you might imagine, demand is really, really high around CSU, and we'll address that as we come south. Make no mistakes about it. That's always going to be a great window to do that. Now, the interesting part is you are going to pay more for those properties. So you'll have to weigh the cash on cash returns, right? Does it make sense to pay more to then rent it out for more? Or does it make sense to go more out into the burbs? So Greeley and surrounding areas have been a hotspot for a number of years. Investors have been eating that up. And then also some of the burbs just south of the Loveland Fort Collins area, your Berthoud, your Johnstown, Meade areas, Frederick, Firestone, those are all doing really, really well. Lower price points, but also slightly lower rent. So again, the cash on cash return evaluation becomes pivotal. In the Denver area, what's transpiring around here is that the outskirts are what are doing best. So we're watching the marketplace shift out to places like Watkins and Bennett and Byers out in east of the Denver area. We're watching it shift a little bit further down to the southeast, southwest, some of those types of areas. Again, right in the core of Denver, you're going to have the Auraria campus, you're going to have DU, you're going to have some of those other components. Those are just getting very, very pricey, and so it's harder right around those areas, although demand is better, harder for the numbers to pencil out from a returns standpoint. And then in Colorado Springs, that is a wide open market that continues to do very well. We have folks doing well from Monument down to Fountain, Fort Carson, out east, Lorson Ranch. Some of those types of areas are great hotspots where investors are still doing very, very well.
It seems like like colleges, it seems like being around military bases would be good.
Absolutely the case.
So yep. East towards Aurora, south towards, in the Colorado Springs area where you've got a lot of military.
Yes, and there is so much military presence down there. So you've got Fort Carson, you've got Schriever, Peterson, you've got Space Command, you've got the Air Force Academy, and then obviously there's lots of organizations that are not direct military, but they support military endeavors, i.e. Lockheed Martin, other big corporations that are also very much surrounding those areas in Colorado Springs. So there's always great demand in the Springs market.
Well, that's great. And if you're interested in talking to Greg more about different areas that you might want to look to buy a place to rent, feel free to reach out to him at the number there on the screen. And as always, look forward to seeing you every week. And thanks again for being on. Showing your property at its best online is one of the first of many important steps to getting your home sold. At Rockin' Media, we provide you with the best quality photos taken by staff photographers, not contractors, who process your photos individually. We use our proprietary Flash HDR process, which combines the natural look of HDR with the color accuracy of Flash, along with properly exposed windows. Rockin' Media's HDR process is clearly exceptional. Find out more and schedule online at rockinmedia.com. And it was great having Shannon with us today. Thanks for joining me and talking all about Denver and how to stage your dining room. And of course, all the great things to learn about Shannon. And if you want to get a hold of Shannon, please reach out to her at the number on the screen, whether you're looking to buy or sell. I'm sure she or someone on her team will get right back to you. And it's been awesome having you on the show. And thanks again for joining me.